I thought we were, but
I think we
Can't see it recording.
okay, fine, good. Nothing important's been said yet. It's just my verbiage. Right, so yes, there are some changes and some apologies.
Yeah, Councillor Malcolm Brock, Councillor Peter Scorer and Councillor Michael Jeffries, personal reasons.
Okay, thank you. Next one is, anybody got any declarations of interest? I have, I declare on 4.12. They're known to me, neighbours of mine. Right.
Yes. I do know the people on 1 Farthingate.
Right, okay.
So 4.9.
Yeah. One for me is, I'm not sure which one it is, to be honest, I can tell you in a second. It's the
Westall.
Westgate,
Westgate, sorry.
15A Westgate, it's 4.12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just personal, don't want me.
Pardon?
Just personal, not purely just.
No, it's personal,
Don't
yeah,
just.
it's just personal, yeah. Right, approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Does anybody have any comments to say, any material comments to the content or accuracy?
No.
No. Any matters arising? I don't have any, I don't know about anybody else. On page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. No, sorry, and page 5. No one? Okay. So I can declare these meetings a true and accurate record of the meeting.
Do you want to vote or not? Yeah.
We need to vote, yes. Just put your
I'll
hand up.
second it.
Lovely.
So-
Okay, fine.
David,
Yeah, 5.
Sally.
All of us unanimous. I'll sign it later.
Yeah, they are there.
Okay, well, I'll sign it later. Yeah. All right, okay. Fine. The next section is section 4, which is the applications we've got in front of us. Do we have to vote on each one despite the fact we've got the comments?
Yes.
You still have to vote,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right, the first one is Moorfield Court, which is the changeover of the daycare centre, which has not been used for 4 or 5 years. So there's a waste of space and time. So the owners want to convert that into 4 units for 4 people. It's very similar to what is there now. It'll have its own kitchen and dining room and a small area for socialising or whatever. So there are no changes to the outside. Well, there are some very minor changes inside. 1 or 2 very minor structural changes. Doesn't have any impact upon the flooding or anything. So has anybody got any comments? Can we then vote? Sorry, Steve.
Well, can I second your proposal to?
Oh, well, I wasn't going to propose, but I can do. No, I'm not allowed to really. It's better somebody else. Okay,
I'll
proposed.
second.
Sally. And a vote? Yeah, good, okay. 4.2, 55 the road walk. In principle, I don't have a problem with this, except that it's very, very large. It's about 50%, a 50% increase in the surface area. And as a consequence, it's a flood risk area. It's a flood zone. The Environment Agency is a medium flood risk. What's wrong?
No, nothing from, got a message from.
Oh, right. It's a medium flood risk. They call it flood zone 1, which is no flood risk at all. They have no comments about how they're going to deal with surface water. So whilst we may agree in principle, I do object to it in that it's not talking about them. You must remember that the flood in 2013, Rope Walk and Monkton Drive were badly flooded. So this could impact upon them, and certainly will impact upon people further downstream. So they must say how they're going to deal with the extra water. So anybody got any comments beyond that, or even including that? Right, okay. Leslie, can you therefore, somebody going to propose? Sally's going to.
Well, I mean, we want to accept it, really. We want to say no objection, but to note that.
Well, we've got to have something put in the conditions if it is approved. Now, this comes under the complexities of the deed of delegation, and I'm not sure exactly what it will happen, but I think we just let it pass through and see how it goes. It's a question of whether we.
Do we need to object then?
Whether we need to object
to get that condition.
I think it's better we object, to be honest, and then we can talk to them tomorrow, if you would.
Yes.
And find out then that we are not objecting because of the thing in principle, we're objecting to their lack of attention to the water.
So it's objection to flood mitigation measures.
The lack of, yes, correct. Yeah, absolutely. So can I propose that we go down that route then? Can I second it by Sally?
Yeah.
And a vote, please. Unanimous. Good, okay. 4.3, number 1 Hopewell Rise, which you will all know is the new development on Halem Road. Amazing, it's not yet finished and they've got a planning application for it. Unbelievable. There we go. I object to this myself.
Yeah. Can I?
Please do.
It's the sales office which would have been converted into a very large garage. Actually, that was what the design is. It's the showroom. It's got some quite nice glass French doors on it, because it's been used as the sales office, showroom office. They, nicely done up inside. They want to keep it as an office. So, David, my first question is. Are we being asked whether that's okay? Do they have to have permission to keep it as an office?
They do, because I would imagine that in the planning application for the total development, it would have been agreed that they would return that to a garage.
Yes, of course.
After they've sold all the plots. So I don't quite know exactly. So yes, we're being asked to approve that and also the carport.
Yeah. Because I don't particularly object to it them keeping the office. There's plenty of place for them to put their car outside. They can stick it in front of the office. There's at least 2 spaces there, and there's also, it forms a little cul-de-sac. There's plenty of space there for car parking. But the objection is really the carport, because it's plastic, and it's got to be plastic because they've got these glazed doors. And then, I can see why they want it, a sort of see-through corrugated, perhaps plasticky roof to let light into the office, because if you put up anything more substantial as a carport, it would block out all the light.
Yeah.
So I can see the logic to what they're asking for, but it's completely out of character.
Yes.
None of these houses in any of these estates in that area of town have carports like that, and it's a load of plastic, basically. So
Yes, I totally agree with your comments. I think, yes, what I said was it's creating carport on the front of a new build is out of keeping with what is an attractive house on an attractive new development. So
I don't object to them keeping the office particularly. Why not? But it's just a carport.
well, the reason I would object to it is that the whole thing is that all of those are all the houses have garages to reduce on-street parking.
But they've got 2 car parking spaces off the
That's
road
right, they have.
and in front
Yes,
of
you're quite right, they have.
the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they can both get 2 cars up off the road.
Yeah.
And it's a little cul-de-sac bit anyway, so there's no through road or.
Yes.
So that doesn't seem to be a particular issue if they wanted to keep it, maintain it as an office.
Yeah. Well, Steve.
If they maintain it as an office, could it then be moved very quickly to something like a hairdresser's or a business
It would have to be changed, they'd have to get changed of use.
So we
It's
are
home.
saying it is an office for personal use.
Correct.
Yeah, that's all they can use it for, like home working, you know, not to run a business out of. Because I'm only around the corner from anyone, we're not allowed to run businesses.
Right. It's just that it's quite a key position, isn't it, on the corner there, it's visible from the road.
Yeah,
They couldn't change the use without getting planning permission for it.
no.
They'd have to apply for a change of use.
There's just home offices.
Yes, so can we have a proposal, please?
Could I propose that we accept the office but not the carport?
I'm going to ask you to change that because just like the previous one, we don't know how it's going to go through. I agree with what you're saying in principle, but I want to make sure that it just doesn't go through without our comments or with regard to the carport.
So therefore we must object
Yes,
to it.
and this is another one for you to discuss tomorrow. If you would.
Okay, yeah,
All right, there might be several of them, but
so we object,
we'll see how we go.
we object to the carport, yeah, not the office.
Correct.
It's out of keeping.
It's
and
out of keeping,
materials
yeah.
suggested
So is everybody in agreement with that comment? Okay, thank you very much. Good. Now Minster.
On the system, the quality is quite good. Do we want to try live stream or do we want to wait until the end?
We'll wait till the end and have it on Facebook.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah, it's not. There's no point halfway through
No, okay.
unless we get somebody screaming at us. But, you know, there we go. Right. Minster, they're putting a new fence around the paddock. They put the application in last month, which we rejected because it was rather unpleasant style. They put wood in on part of it and metal fencing where it's against the playing field, which matches what's there already further along. I think it's very sad that they want to put a wooden fence in and not an estate fence, a metal estate fence, which is what would have been there, you know, sort of 40 or 50 years ago. But they are, it's not unreasonable. So can I have any comments? How do you feel? Lynn?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's that juxtaposition of the fence by the Minster Field, you know, as it comes around that corner, the southeast corner.
Yes.
Because it's a very delicate area in terms of heritage, and it's the height. That's what I object to. It's, you know, is this the one that's 1.8 meters or something? And it's just so high that I just feel that it's not allowing that cultural, you know, the sort of the atmosphere of that area to move from one thing to another.
Yeah.
I mean, we can see what it's like because of those awful green fences that have been there for ages, and you know, and some of it's been on our land as well, and that's a real eyesore, and it just jars, you know, when you go there. And the whole thing about that area is to create a homogeneous area that, you know, that looks suitable for a heritage, you know, for its heritage, really. I just think it looks awful.
Yes, the fencing at the top of the drive is proper wooden fencing, it's static wooden fencing, whereas this is and it doesn't actually say, as far as I can see, how high it will be.
I think on that map, if you look on the map,
No, it's not there.
isn't it? I thought on
Timber
the map
boarded
it's
fence and
there.
pair of vehicle gates to match the existing perimeter fence along Bishop's Drive. So it'll be the same height, in other words, I
Well, that's
suspect.
not high. You know, I'm sure I saw.
The 1.8 is, there is one of these, 1.8.
Yeah, I thought
It does, the further down Bishop's Drive and then across by the Scout Hut. Is existing fencing to Bishop's Drive and the south boundary to the roof building to be replaced using 1.8 high timber picket fence. Yes, you're right.
so.
But it is too invasive. It's better than the green, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the green is 2 metre high wire fencing,
yeah.
but that's in keeping, not in keeping necessarily, but that's matching what's there already.
Yeah, except that is going to be coming. So that's going to be coming. But yes, but it's hidden within the bushes.
Correct,
Whereas this is going to be out in view.
correct.
And it's the way they've got it, it is a block you want to, you know, that even though that, you know, they've got slight gaps on it, it will look like a solid block there. I think we need something which is actually more unintrusive in your line of vision. So, as you say, estate, it's got to be security, I suppose, but even metal estate fencing, you know, metal rods would be better, or something where you can actually look through it and, you know, not have this, you know, it's a cheaper metal. But
Yes, I don't know what paddock is used for. It used to have sheep on it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it still has animals on it or not.
Yeah.
The existing fencing there looks like it's 1.8. The solid fencing at the top of Bishop's Drive, looking at the picture, it looks like it's about 1.8.
But that's the Bishop's Garden, which is, you know, which is slightly different to this, which is a, you know, they're trying to bring it in as a
Paddock.
nature area, a wild area.
Yes.
To block it, I think it's just a very intrusive system that they're using. I think they need to look at it again. You know, well done this time, but next time you might get it right.
Or shall we approve it and ask them to reduce it in height?
No, it's the gap between the wood slats as well. They're trying to say, oh, it's all nature, but you couldn't get any animals actually progressing using that as a corridor or anything. Because of the width of the slats between the wood, it's going to be so overimposing, especially when you walk down past the sky club. Like you say, if you had metal, thin railings, as you would in the old days that were black, your eyes would blur past them. Whereas this is just going to be this massive block of
Yes.
1.8 meters. Whereas you're used to looking through and seeing the grass behind. It's not Glastonbury, it's more expensive.
Yeah.
Well, they're loaded.
I object on the spoiling of the vista.
Yeah.
Okay, let's object on that.
Right, so can I have a proposal, please?
Object.
So you're proposing that we object to it on what grounds?
Loss of the amenity of the look and feel of a heritage site and the imposing industrialisation and the lack of progress for animals in wildlife corridors.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, but
Or any of those.
yeah, you've got to be a bit careful about animals, because if you you know, I mean, depending on what size hole you have, that's what I'm talking about. Hedgehog is one thing, but letting sheep through is another, or dogs. Or dogs on
Or
it.
ducks, or
Wildebeest.
Wildebeest. Yeah, all right, okay, fine. Did you get those comments from Steve?
Yes, and there's also Lynn's about contravening the local plan policy, development proposal.
Okay, fine. So can I have a vote? I get the feeling you said. Can you put your hands up, please,
What have we got? Is this against it?
Yeah.
for your proposal,
Okay.
which was seconded by
Karen.
Karen? Fine, lovely, okay. Good. 4.5, next one, which is 12 Farthingate. That's further up Farthingate and backs onto the Harvey's Field. Again, I've got no objection, except he's not saying what he's going to do with the water. That could be quite critical in that area. So, does anybody else have any comments?
No, I just thought that because the property is going to then extend across the whole width of the plot, so my question was also about surface water.
Yes, yeah. Anybody else got any comments? Right, so can I have a proposal to approve as long as they explain how they're going to deal with the extra surface water? Yep,
So
okay.
that's just
Steve?
the last one that we did.
Sorry, we voting on
Farthingate, proposed
Farthingate.
second to carry,
Right, so it's unanimous.
except
Oh,
for
right.
the flooding.
I was there, I was on song.
Just the wrong song.
Sorry, can I just say, sorry, I wasn't.
Unanimous,
unfortunately.
unanimous vote.
Unanimous, and who proposed, who was seconded? Sorry,
It was proposed by Lynn, seconded by Karen.
thank you.
Right, 4.6, 42 Lower Kingdom Road. Going to remove the garage and create a shared driveway. This is, by the way, just a repeat with some minor changes, at least I couldn't even recognise the changes, to one that was objected to by us. I can't remember when, but the application was 2018, so it was about that.
No objection that it was over intensification of the site.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we still have the same objection.
I can't see any reason for changing it. You know, we should just almost photocopy what we said last time.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that they are assuming that we're, you know, we're going to let them get away with permeable block paving in the car park and the drive. It's quite a large car park. And we all know that permeable block paving becomes impermeable after, you know, a year or 18 months. So I would like to bring that into it if we could. So could somebody give a proposal, please?
Well, we object because it's over intensification of sites, and despite attempts to mitigate surface water with permeable block paving, we do not think that would be adequate, so we've got 2 objections.
Yep. The Environment Agency also classifies this area as medium risk, not zone 1, which is what they've put. And the path of any surface water which goes outside of their thing will lead straight into areas like Raysmith Close, which was seriously flooded in 2013. I mean seriously flooded. So I think it's backland. Well, if you have a look at the previous application, you'll see what we said there. If you can make those additions about floodwaters, then I think you've got it. Okay. Can we have a vote on that? A proposal, please.
I'll second that. Oh, I thought we did.
Are you-
I did propose.
Yes, seconded.
Seconded.
Fine. And a vote, please. Good.
Right.
Perfect. 4.7, Platt's Orchard, which for those of you who don't know where Platt's Orchard is, it's off Church Street.
I think it's fine. You all need a 5th bedroom for your growing family. No.
He has not got a growing family, I can assure you.
Well, I just commented on the 5th bedroom.
Actually, I should actually comment that I'm known to this guy. So if you could just make that comment. I agree, it's a good thing. It's raising the roof line of a single story thing by 1.2 meters, I think he said. So it's not a huge thing, it's not going to go up high, and he's going to get an extra. I don't want it to be used for billiard table probably.
It's a 5th bedroom. Is he best renting a house?
He's not even married with a family.
Right, so you definitely need sing them on.
Airbnb, they'll be back soon.
No, he's not that sort.
Anyway, there's no real objection, I think.
No.
No, there's no objection at all.
So I'd like to propose that we do not object.
I'll second.
Okay, vote please. Unanimous. Good. Well done. 4.8. This is the land at Brackenhurst. You had a few comments, if I remember, Steve. You've got to remember that this is really refurbishing the land that was there because they've had a load of buildings on there while they were doing some building work at Brackenhurst. So it's really reinstating the car park, putting new lighting on and so on. And as it's new lighting, I'm sure it will be low intensity facing downwards.
Well, I just think that, yes, I did mention that. I think it's important because it is on a hill
Yeah.
and it is really visible that from a long way away.
You're quite right. In fact, this isn't invisible. There's no reason not to say it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've said it before, and all of the work that they've done, and they are, you know, they're fairly keen to not do it wrong, as it were.
I've got no problem with it, apart from this light interference and the fact that I think that we should ask them to switch their lights off in their car park from 1 o'clock in the morning until a recent, a safe time in the morning. So they have a dark period when the
Yes.
car park is not in use.
Oh, earlier than that.
Well, I
No
was-
glare lights.
well,
They are, come on, they are students.
Student car park, this is a car park, not for the student residential area. It's a
No.
car park is for the tutors and for the workings of the college.
Yes,
But even the student one, that's why I actually did it to one, because I thought, they're only to bed up there.
but the student one is closer to us. And, we don't see it very much. No, I think they're usually quite good, but there's no reason not to say it. So can I have a proposal, Lynn?
Can I just mention, the reason I thought that we should object is that if you look at the plans, they've got pictures of the lamps, and yeah, they are facing the ground, but they don't say how tall they are. So in one area, it says L, which I presume is length, which may be 70 centimetres, but they don't actually say if it is 70 centimetres or not. I thought 70 centimetres, that's not going to be, it's not even a metre. So
No, but that's the whole point. They are low for
Do you
people
think
just to
it
see,
really
and it's
is
not really
70?
it's not going into people's windows.
is it really 70 centimetres?
I don't know, but it could be.
Because they're quite flimsy, they're sort of, they're poles.
Right,
They're not, I know on some college campuses, they have like a little bench, don't they?
yes.
At 70 centimetres with the light underneath.
Yeah.
But these aren't like that. And I was just a bit, I thought, I don't know what they're doing here.
Maybe they ought to have ones like the minstrel put around all their paths. They're really good, those. Right, okay, so can I have a proposal, please?
Could we do it like the flood one, so we could accept it up with the provider?
Yes, we'll have to work out exactly how to say it under the new rules, as it were, which, sadly Malcolm's not here to be able to guide us. But, I know what they're saying, but I don't know exactly how they'll work. So it's going to be, I think it's much better if you check Leslie tomorrow.
So it's a no objection with the proviso that it's low level.
But
And with-
lighting
And a suggestion that they go off, what they could do at night is to have it going on if somebody drives their car in and then goes off after 10 minutes or so.
But I do think we ought to, this is a good point to make at the moment. That is a real development on the hill, and it is a huge amount of light interference from that area. And the practitioners ought to do something about
Yes.
the amount of light coming from that complete campus.
Yes.
The other issue that they would have to think about is also the safety and security of people using a car park.
Yes,
There should, we've got to think about people's safety, not only driving, but also walking
Yes.
across it, from their cars to the accommodation, to where they
Yeah.
work. It's could be quite a dark and remote place out there.
Well, it isn't a dark and remote place at the moment, it's a good lighting.
Yeah.
That's half the problem,
Yeah.
is that.
Well,
And it goes on right through I
Yeah.
can see it from my house. I can look out there at any time of the night, and there is this glow on the hillside.
yeah.
And I think they need to,
I know what you feel, because I see the glow from the race course, and it's more often than they have night meetings. So anyway, can you reflect
Yes.
Steve's comments, please?
Yeah.
Are we unanimous in that response?
So we are saying no objection, but we'd like to make this.
Correct.
Low level lighting.
So
means
unanimous or?
timed lighting.
And we like the lighting off from like 12
I don't know if that's part of planning though, is it?
Well,
Specify
Well,
the
we
timings.
can just make it.
Maybe
suggestions.
that's
Yeah.
time lighting.
Yeah,
Well, I can make a suggestion of being the liaison person for Bracken.
Okay, that's good.
Women must be interested in the effect on insects and animals, wildlife.
Well, it's not just that, it's saving electricity too.
Yeah, there's lots of different reasons why
Yeah.
it shouldn't be on all the time.
Right, okay, so on to the next one, 4.8. No, sorry, that was 4.8. 4.9, number 1 Farthing Gate, single story rear extension. 4.8, no, 4.9. We pretty well had, yes, everybody had no objection apart from me, no objection to extra surface water created must be handled correctly.
It's
So
pretty
can you-
small what they're doing there, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's quite small and
It
it's
is,
at the back of the
yeah, but
house.
it's in an area where flooding occurred. So if it puts more in, it's got to be dealt with. I agree with you, but you know, I think people should get into their idea that they've got to deal with it if they're going to do this sort of thing. It doesn't take very much. Just putting the water into the drains is enough. It's not I'm not asking them to do a soakaway or anything like that. They don't have to do that. It's just making sure that it's just put into the drains properly rather than just let it drift into the road and so on.
So are we going to say no objection, but just make a comment?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay,
So
I'll propose that then.
proposed,
I do know
seconded by
people-
Steve.
I
And
do know the
vote.
people, but
Sorry?
I do know the people who own it, but that doesn't matter, does it?
No. As long as you don't have a pecuniary interest.
Unanimous?
Unanimous, yep. 4.10 is the Admiral Rodney. Just new signs. It's catching up. They painted them already, but there we go. I was talking, well, yes, go on.
Well, C seemed to be
It's an A-frame.
it is an A-frame.
It is an A-frame, yeah.
But it'll be on their property, I assume.
Oh, yes. Well, they've got one there and it's been there for a long time. So if you haven't noticed it, it'll be the same, I'm sure.
Right.
Because I found out on Saturday that the person who's going to be working there is the manager from previously.
Yes.
So she's got her job back. Yes.
I propose that we pass this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's nice. Nice to
Yes.
see that will need being done up.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's interesting that somebody phoned up Penny and said, are they going to make the disabled access better? I said, what do you mean? Well, they're doing up the thing. So she reported to the environment. Nobody knew anything about it. They hadn't done any planning application for the work done there at all. And inside, it's not substantial, but they had made some changes in that back room. So there we go. Right.
So we vote on that one. We've got Steve and Karen. Unanimous for that one.
Unanimous, yes. Yeah.
I don't know. Is it a listed building?
Sorry?
Is it a listed building?
I assume so. It's certainly in the conservation area.
I don't know about the back though, that back room.
Yeah.
The back room is, I'm sure, is listed. Yeah. Right, next one, 411, number 1, Byron Gardens.
I was a bit concerned about this. It's turning a 2-bedroom bungalow into a 3-bedroom bungalow. And you can't really tell much from the site plan about the impact of water runoff at all. There wasn't much.
The one?
Huh?
You said something, I couldn't hear what it
Oh,
was.
sorry. My concern is, sorry, it's this, isn't it? That it's turning a 2-bedroom bungalow into a 3-bedroom bungalow, but you couldn't tell much from the site plan about the impact of water runoff. I just felt there was more information that was needed really to understand this better.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, and this goes along with people's complete ignorance about how they should be applying for the planning permission in an area where there is flooding. They don't think they have to deal with the water. Of course they do. So yes, so my no objection, with extra surface water created must be handled correctly.
My question was, I looked at it and I couldn't work out if they've still got access to their garage and got off-road parking. Because the plan, it's a substantial deal.
It is.
You're not talking, just a tack on small bit, and I couldn't work out whether there was parking, so I'm concerned that there is.
I think there is a car stand discussing this.
Well, I know there was
It's
a
hard to
garage,
tell.
but it was, because of the way the extent of the plans were put, it didn't come out
Yeah,
clearly whether there was still
yeah,
parking.
it's true.
It's very difficult to see from his drawings because they weren't very good drawings. Well, it's out the back, isn't it?
It is. Inside.
It's an extra 3.5 meters, roughly.
Just out, that's nothing out the side, I thought there was some out the side as well. I might be wrong.
Difficult to tell actually in the
Well,
front
it says
drawing.
rear and side, isn't it? This is pride and garden, isn't it? Rear and side. essentially.
Yeah. Um,
Well, could we just add this proviso as the wall trees that provided there is adequate off-road parking for 2 vehicles,
uh,
and then they can park it out.
They'll buy 2 motorbikes.
2 off-road,
4-wheel.
4-wheel family saloon.
Yeah. Get 2 people carriers.
there is nowhere which actually says exactly what he's doing with the garden. It's don't think he's changing anything in that respect.
Right, well, it's just, I was unsure, as I looked at it.
Now, if you look at the location thing, he's got marked in red, and he's putting a garage down the bottom. So I think I don't think he's changing anything in the front at all. So are you happy for that to go through without further comment?
Yeah, as long as he's got parking there, I'm happy for that.
According to what he's requesting, he's not doing anything at the front of the house at all.
Okay.
It looks like, I wouldn't say this is absolute, it looks like he's knocking down a building to create a garage at the back. I seem to remember seeing that somewhere before anyway.
So are we saying no objection, but going to comment on it needs to have adequate on-site parking and the water runoff to be considered?
Yes, we could say that.
To those 2.
Yeah.
Well, I propose that then.
Pardon?
I propose that then.
Okay,
I
second
second
that.
that.
Lynn?
Let's vote.
We vote
We're going,
Perfect.
Not gonna be
Okay.
proposing.
Have you got that?
yes.
Lovely.
I'm thinking of Michael's position.
Just get finished and then we can say, oh, it's so much better than Peter.
Who's quicker?
Shh. We're not in a race.
You know I'm only jesting.
Right, 4.12. 15A wastegate. This is the one I have an interest in. Not an interest, but just I'm known to the applicants.
I think it would improve the aesthetic of the property and also creates a second car parking space, and they've only got one, so it seemed to me a bit of a no-brainer, this one.
And what they're doing with the gates is what was there a long time before it was converted into when it was still a coach house rather than just a living accommodation. Steve, you've got,
Well, I was just concerned that it was a solid looking gate, and I was.
well, they're solid in wood.
Yeah, I wasn't really agreed, but what it might do, because it's already quite a blank wall along there.
Yeah.
So it would actually, make it look rather, I don't know, industrialised. I just wonder whether terraced, yes, but it's because it's all on the pavement, it's very narrow pavement, and you've got to fill right up, and you actually get a little bit of a relief every now and again, but because of the way that the gates have opened up. I know it's not, but I was just wondering whether it would be better with something which you can see through again.
So it's not really a great thing to see through, is it?
Well, it's not just, no.
And I think what they were trying to do with these gates was to put them, I mean, I've not spoken to them about it, but from reading their statement, they were using those because that was what was there 40 years ago.
I think the aesthetic would be good, actually.
You think?
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I have a different view from you.
It's just, the view.
Yeah, absolutely, it's just personal.
Yeah, no, I won't object, I'm fine.
Can I have a proposer?
I'd like to.
Sally, Karen is a second, and vote please. Unanimous. 413, Brinkley Hill Farm. No objections at all on this, amazingly.
Improve
Let's go
the
then.
property?
I'll propose this one.
Second. No.
Fine,
Right,
okay.
got that one through.
Now then, come on, this is a serious matter.
63.
Oh, yes.
Right,
Oh, yeah, this is the one I'm interested in.
414, 63 Westport. When you read this, it sounded like an awful lot of work going on, an awful lot of changes. In fact, there's not very much at all.
But it's going to tidy it up. I
Yes.
think it'll improve the property.
Well, it was the guy who had the pony and trap.
Yeah.
John, name escapes me now.
I think it'll improve the property. The only thing is the windows. At the moment, they've got timber windows and they're going to put in new PVC. That was the only thing. I mean, they're not lovely traditional wood or anything.
Yeah,
It's
but
quite a modern building.
it's quite a modern building. I don't know when it was built, but probably,
70s or 80s.
probably is 80s or 90s even, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not as though they're trying to, to go against Westall.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It does.
I have to say that when the house on the corner of the Rope Walk and Halem Road was being redone, we did comment to Neil and Sherwood that they were putting in new PVC, and that's in the centre of the conservation area, centre of town, not a listed building, admittedly. And conservation period said, people said, yes, we know, we don't object.
Yeah, I mean, I
So-
think it's more that, as a planning committee, we should just be flagging the UPVC issue all the time,
Yes,
just so that we're noting it. Sometimes people are matching existing UPVC windows, and in a sense, well, okay, they've
Yes.
done it, so if they have an extension, why not? With this one, they've got wood, and they're going to put in UPVC as on their extension, so that just seems to be the wrong way around, isn't it, really?
okay, can I have,
So, no objection, apart from making a note, I would say. About
yes,
I couldn't really see because last time that we objected when at I think was it the Rope Walk one or the one certainly along Lower Copenhagen Road, that those houses there when they were being done up, and I'm a bit confused really. So is having UPVC windows not a big thing to object to?
You're talking about Norwood Villas?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then they actually wanted to have, in that property, they wanted to have sash windows, but made of UPVC. So they would look like wood windows, so aesthetically, they would look good, but they would be UPVC. But I think, in the new neighbourhood plan, we want to try not to be using.
well, there are two reasons against that UPVC. There's a visual impact,
Yeah.
but also the fact that we're making more plastic.
Absolutely,
And I think we should be, trying to discriminate against that.
that's
in that
right, so
respect.
that's why we should always try and
Yeah,
flag it.
But it's just, I just thought it's consistency really. So I had no objection to it, but I said I thought you ought to object to it because it has its UPVC.
Yeah.
But I don't know,
I thought we would start.
Yeah, I thought we agreed we would.
That whenever they came up, we would object to them.
fine. It's in the conservation area anyway.
But they do refer to the conservation officer with a note regarding.
Yeah, but the conservation officer is looking to conserve the aesthetic of a traditional property. Well, this isn't a traditional property, but actually our concern about the UPVC is environmental issue, isn't it? So
It's both.
well, it is, of course, it's both, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
It
in
is.
this instance, it would be an
Okay,
environmental issue. So I don't object to anything about their development apart from
yes.
wanting to flag why the UPVC.
Can we have a proposal then to reflect that?
So should we say no objection, but we want to,
It comes along again, that's another one to talk to conservation about tomorrow,
Yes.
I think.
But we ought to be consistent. I agree with Len here. It's you, whatever it is, plastic, then you're moving from wood to plastic, then should we always object? Do we do that?
Yeah.
Or do
I don't think we can be categorical saying always object, for example, I mean, all the new build houses on the development on Hagan Road, they will be plastic.
They will, yeah.
Yes, but that's okay, because we're saying,
It's not okay.
It's a plastic. No, but within my principle, because we're only talking about
Well, I
where
think we
people
should,
are applying to
yeah.
change from wood to plastic.
yeah,
Well, surely, that's quite straightforward. Is the neighbourhood plan due to come out fairly soon?
It's,
it'll be sometime, yeah.
it'll be a little while, yeah.
It's quite a long process.
Is there not a place, because for us to have some of these fairly simple things in place before that neighbourhood comes, which we keep rolling through, otherwise we're never going to get any
Well,
of these areas.
you can't change the previous neighbourhood plan because that's gone through the process and the referendum and so on. You can only change what our agreed style would be in the new neighbourhood plan. That's obviously one of the things
Which
you're
is
trying
where
to
that's going to go.
do. You can't make statements like that in between the two because it's all part of New Sherwood's development plan.
But surely, if our environmental body came up with a statement, then we could refer it saying that sure, Southall Town Council Environmental Council is against UPVC, expects
Yes.
charging points to be, and therefore
You-
we refer
you
to
can-
that.
You can say that, Steve, but it would have no power in law.
No, but it surely it's
It-
putting
it-
forward
it-
a statement.
It highlights a wish.
Credentials.
Yeah. I think that's all we can do, I think. We can't object to it just because of that. But
No.
what we can say is, we're disappointed to see,
Yeah.
and just keep flagging it every time, can't we? I think really that's all we can do.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I keep disappearing because my glasses continue to steam out of that scene.
Yeah, I thought that was
Well,
what we'd agreed.
Okay, can we move on and then can I have a proposal, please, which reflects that for Leslie to write down?
Can I propose that we don't object, but that we put a comment in to say we're disappointed to see
UPVC.
UPVC windows being suggested, particularly as other windows in the house are timber, and that it goes against our environmental policy.
Yes.
And I second that. We
Okay.
all vote on it.
Yep.
Let's.
I can't because.
Oh, you can't.
It's Norwood Village, you see, is that if that person there looks at what we've decided tonight,
Yeah.
they're going to feel really hard done by. So I won't vote against you.
No, did we say, Norwood Village that
Do
we?
you know?
Yes, but we did vote
No,
against
no.
it.
We voted again, but it was only about the windows, that one, wasn't it? They weren't doing any other extensions. So this is about the extension.
Yeah, but the windows issue is the same, isn't it? If we say no UPVC windows, and that's what, and then this one comes along with UPVC windows, and we say, yep, that's all right, but we just make a comment. We could have just made a comment last time, actually, because of the style was okay, and they were doing,
Well, the aesthetic was quite right, I thought, on those, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and they were
Yeah.
trying to do their best,
They
weren't
were,
they?
they were.
It's just, I just feel that I can't vote for it
You're
because
right.
it's consistent.
No, you're right.
But I won't vote against you, but I can't vote for it.
Okay.
So can we have a vote then? It's for, and you're abstaining, is that correct?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Next one is 415 Woodland Drive. This is a single-story side extension. Again, unhappy with the 1.8 metre fence, Steve. I see that.
But it's one of those where it's a boarded fence, but it's at your height and it's on the corner and it's following you up to the pavement. And I can see that it's blocking visual in, but I just wonder, because it's on the pavement, on the entry to the road, whether it's going to be quite an intrusion.
Yeah, but it's a standard height, isn't it, you see? That's the problem.
It's a standard height for rears and alleyways, but it's not a standard height normally. You don't see many, you walk along a road, you don't see many 6-foot fences to the front of houses. You might see hedges perhaps going up, but a 6-foot wooden fence on that boundary, I think is quite unusual. Yeah, it just, just sort of glared at me, thinking if I walk around that corner, how strange it would be to have that on my shoulder,
Yeah.
you know, in that.
Okay, I'm not sure that we have the power to change it, but can we, you know, maybe make a suggestion that they reduce the height?
I think we'd have to object if we really don't.
I think it should be a standard fence height, I would object, I'm prepared.
Fern
Okay.
Place is quite small, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
you go around there, and so that adds to that impact
Yeah,
of that
I
fence.
think it would look really odd.
Yeah. All right, so the proposal is then Lynn to object. So Lynn is objecting, seconder please. Steve, and a vote. Unanimous.
And that's on the height of the fence that you're asking.
Yes, reducing the height of the fence.
Extensions, all
Yes,
Oh.
yeah.
right. There's nothing wrong with the extensions, just the fence.
416, home farm, machine barn, this is on, crikey, can't remember the name of the road now.
It's hidden up, but
It's Reg Taylor's, isn't it?
yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
Houses.
Normanton.
Pardon? It's in Norman, I was trying to think of the name of the road.
Well, none of us had any objections to this.
No, nobody's
It's
objection,
fine.
so can I have a proposal that
No
we
objection.
approve? Thank you very much, seconded by somebody,
Aaron's in there again, like a rocket.
right. 71, next one is 417, 71, 73 King Street. I've got a real question here. Is that one or two houses?
Two.
Why do they say building in the heritage statement? It's not clear all the way through, it's confused in their thinking. And I'm worried that they are maybe wanting to convert one to two surreptitiously.
I just assumed that they were linked.
Pardon?
But aren't they two separate buildings?
They are two separate buildings. But if you look at the heritage statement, in one place they say building, and all the way through it's 71, 73. It's 71 to 73, as though it's one
Not
building.
71 and 73.
No, it doesn't say that though. It says 71 to 73. And maybe I'm being pedantic, but you know, I just want to make sure that it is actually going to be retained as two separate buildings. Because it's important to have buildings of that size for young people working in the town or near the town.
I noticed the owner is the owner of one hotel.
It's the same person. It's the same person who owns the
Who wants the carport.
carport. Yes.
I just happened to notice that on the application,
Yes.
and they've got the same name as
Who
me. but-
is actually known to Michael too.
Yeah. Yeah, not that that really has any bearing,
No.
but just to note that, so obviously.
I mean, I
they're
don't have a problem with what they're doing in the slightest. I just want to make sure that they clarify that it is two buildings going to be renovated and we're going to get two buildings out of it. Because I think that's what it is now.
Mm.
So can we?
Two rental properties, aren't they?
They are, yes, oh yes.
You know, they do need some work, so it's good that the work is, you know.
And they are
will be
replacing
replacing, so
Wood
that's-
for wood, like for like, you know, from that point of view, it's being done well. It's just a question. I'm sure I'm being far too, you know, suspicious.
The only thing I wondered, they say they're going to have York sash windows. They don't actually say that they're going to be made of wood,
They do.
do they? I looked on the form and I couldn't see the
If
word
you
wood.
look, hang on, not at the form.
Perhaps if it was somewhere else. David, if you saw it, that's fine.
I wanna make sure
I
they saw
spot it.
Heritage impact statement, here we go. Proposed new windows and general remedial work to the property as listed below. South is small, blah, 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 grade 2. Dwellings known as 71, 73 are located. That's the dwellings, and further up it says to the property. Proposal is to replace the existing windows and doors with general remedial work in accordance with the Affairs Report, which forms part of this application. I'm sure
Is this the one who's got the Carrollton drawing up? Drawing.
yes. general sash, York sash window to be replaced. Well, you wouldn't get those in UPVC, would you? I don't know.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
I looked it up because I was concerned. Well, they were going to have those in Norwood Hill, weren't they?
It's being done by a joinery.
Should we perhaps
In relation to
just
preservation.
conservation?
Yeah, I think it referring to conservation because they, would be.
The materials chosen are simply replacing like for like. There will be no harm or loss of significance for any existing heritage assets for their setting and location. Now, if you're replacing like for like, that means wood for wood to me.
Or it could be York sash window with another York sash window.
No, it says materials chosen are simply replacing like for
Okay,
like.
well,
That's where I assumed it was going to be wood.
yeah, well, maybe I'm just being suspicious.
We're all allowed suspicion on one application.
But I mean, I think in principle, it's going to look good, so,
Oh yes, it's refurbishing what is needed
Yeah.
and bringing it up.
that's all good.
So can I have a,
So what should we
a
say? No objection, but defer to conservation officer advice, or?
It's a shame that the conservation officer hadn't made her comments really before we looked at it.
Yes, I wasn't thinking.
yes. Maybe she hasn't been given the opportunity yet. Sometimes it whizzes through so quickly that they don't get that opportunity. There's no comments there. Yes, defer to the conservation officer. And we could say we're happy to see that it's going to be wood like for like.
Yeah, just make the point.
Really good. No trouble. It's because we had one last week with Tim Mead, who's 75, and the one at the top is Gillings, or was Gillings. 77. Right,
There's no objection.
no objection,
For
but
conservation.
yes,
Yeah.
and when we say no objection, and we're happy that they're using wood.
Just make the point.
Make the point, yeah.
We've got a proposal.
I can't read. Pardon?
Yeah.
We voted on that one.
Oh, sorry, no, proposal Sally, second Lynn. Vote please, Karen, thank you. Right, 4.18, same as the building, so it's the same there. 4.19, Bay Tree House on
Did you want to talk
Bay.
about that one?
No, I'm proposing that no objection.
Baytree,
Sorry?
Baytree
Yes.
House. Yeah, I'll
The
second.
basement conservatory
Yeah.
room,
I'll second.
Yeah.
Vote done, gone. Bingo.
And 11 Allenby Road, two-storey rear extension. Also no objections.
Yeah.
Same treatment. Can I have a proposer and a seconder?
Yeah.
Karen and Lynn, thank you very much. Unanimous. Excellent. Right, that's that lot done. Right. Next thing on the agenda is, I think it's Malcolm's presentation.
Your comment. Well, notices, go.
All the notices, David.
Pardon?
It's just all the notices.
Well, the only notice I've got is the information about Malcolm. He was going to introduce the scheme of delegation. He's not here to do that. So we will defer that to next month.
When does that go live?
It is live now, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not sure now, but it was said with immediate effect.
So do you think we should have a small presentation from Malcolm as to how we should do this before the next meeting?
Well, we won't, it'll be at the early part of the meeting, before we actually discuss the things, yes. Otherwise, we're going to have a separate, unless we put it into the full council, I think it's going to be quite busy. So, no, I think we'll do it. The next one's only 2 weeks away, the next planning meeting. So,
I'd like to say that it's very nicely coloured.
very nicely what?
Coloured.
Oh, is it? Oh, yes. So that's the only notice I've got. And has anybody got any comments on the section 2005 and the applications refused and so on? I've got no comments there at all. Chairman's notices, you've heard the only one I've got. I'm not aware of anybody, anything else?
No.
There you go. Right, proposed street collection by the Lions and Macmillan, that's previously circulated, just to note. So it's duly noted, thank you.
We don't vote on that one.
Pardon?
We don't vote on that one.
We do, it's just letting us know, effectively.
As long as we have any
We have-
objections,
pardon?
we've got no objections to those dates or anything. We're okay with those dates.
Not as far as I know. No, I'm not aware of any interaction and they're both people who do it regularly in the town.
Do we have a calendar that we keep this kind of thing on to realise if there were to be a conflict by any chance?
We don't know, but it's probably something that we should probably look at.
Just in case it's.
Yeah.
We do seem to get quite a few coming through at the moment, don't we?
Yeah,
Because we did have the debate on, who was it? The charity, we wanted to
Before
do.
Christmas.
Yes, you know, we were sort of saying, well, the Lions, you did have this and
Yeah,
push them back. So I do think we do need that sort of spreadsheet of when.
Yeah, the Lions one actually is the 6th to the 23rd of December, so.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah,
well,
that
that's
is
what we
the
thought they.
yeah, but that's to do with their sledge, isn't it? And collecting in various villages around, amongst other things. And the other one is the 2nd of October.
No, but at a previous meeting, I think, David, that's what we were referring to. We approved 2 others already at a previous meeting.
No, but it was those Lions ones, it's the same, isn't it?
No, the Lions, we talked about Lions, but they hadn't put their application
Oh,
in. It was, I can't remember the,
Oh, that, you're right. I
it
can't
was
remember
over
the
by Calverton, I can't remember their name. Anyway, they wanted the street and we pulled it back because we knew that the Lions.
Yeah,
were
right.
This is what it is, but this
Yes.
is where we do, well, you know, that.
Could you,
we can work out.
Could you check on that, Leslie?
Yes, I will do, I'll pull one.
And secondly, could you set up a calendar?
Yes, I will do.
Well, just put it on the calendar so we know whether it's going to clash or not.
Yeah, because we have quite a few recently.
The other one is a coffee morning, Macmillan coffee morning on 2nd of October. That's all that is.
I'll have a cappuccino, please.
Well, you have to pay for it.
Well, I thought you were, I thought the German office.
Yeah. Obviously.
Coffee and cake on the German. Thank you very much, David.
You're very welcome.
I'm
It'll take me far too long. We'll go beyond 9 o'clock if you insist on that.
You told Steve.
Right, next one, item 8 was the review of the scheme delegation, Council Block. Well, we've just dealt with that. 9, the highways report. The reports were sent to you. I think what I want to do in future is you to read those and then we can discuss them or just pass them as we see fit or necessary. And obviously it'll be better because Paul will be not here necessarily. Well, he may be here, I don't know.
Paul is here. Paul and Tom are on the screen.
They are indeed.
Can you hear us, Paul and Tom?
Indeed, I can.
Well done, good. Has anybody got any questions of Paul and Tom, having read their thing? Karen?
Now I see that incorporated in their report is the pavements spreadsheet, is that right? The pavement and pathway spreadsheet.
It's on page 2.
So are you managing that now then, you guys?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was just saying, are you managing that now?
No, not managing it, reproducing it. That item appeared in the report that myself and Tom put together after we liaised with Clark to get hold of it.
Right,
Clark or deputy clerk maintains that, but at a point in report production, we liaise with the clerk to get a copy, and it's incorporated then into the single highways report for the session.
Okay, that's great. I just thought that we'd agreed in the meeting that not only would we email, we would also log those, not for you to do, but we would also log those on the website, Fix My Streets, because we were under the impression or we'd had some information that they were actioned more readily than emails, if you remember.
The report deals with proposed changes to the Southwell Town Council website, obviously subject to councillors' agreement. But one of the proposed changes is that a section on highways the section on highways be added and include not only the Fix My Street app, but also the 2 Nottinghamshire County Council reporting systems, one for potholes and one for any other highways issues. And myself and Tom feel that it's those 2 that produce best results. And we feel it because that they become matters that are subject of Via's agency contract with Notts County Council, and therefore it matters whether Via does something about it or not. In other words, they get paid or they don't.
It's much more visible, isn't it, for their KPIs? But I thought,
Exactly.
Because it said on the spreadsheet that it was emailed to NCC, I think it was, but I think we'd agreed in the meeting that we were going to log them on those sites as well. And I wasn't sure if that was still happening, or if not for you guys to do it necessarily.
I beg your pardon, Karen. Yes, yes. I mean, the use of those reporting systems actually throws up a reference number. So if they're used, the log could actually say in the notes column carry the reference number of the response back from the council.
So they're not a question for you guys as such, but a question for Leslie. Do you know if that's fallen between the pavement? Do you like that? With Karen leaving.
Everything that's on this report the assistant clerk left.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new at the moment.
Okay, so
nothing's fallen through the cracks at the moment. That's the most up-to-date report.
okay, so on that report, it doesn't say that those issues have been logged on Fix My Street and the Notts app. So does that mean they haven't? And
No, they've all been logged.
have they been logged on the website though?
They'll have been logged via email.
You see, that's the thing. The email isn't as effective as logging on the website and getting the reference. And I thought we'd agreed that we would log them on the website and get the reference.
But maybe the person reporting has done that already. You see.
That's what I'm asking.
Well, I don't know.
People reporting it to us, so we don't put it on that log.
Yeah, but I thought that we'd agreed that we would then log it on the website because that was more effective.
But I thought we agreed that it was the person reporting it that logs it onto the website.
I think what it is, if somebody reports it to us,
Yeah.
we ought to ask them, have you reported it? If they have, we don't need to.
Yeah.
If they haven't, then we should.
Yeah, exactly. And then if we get that reference
think
number,
to-
if they have,
Yes. I think, to be honest, let's leave it like it is for the moment until we get the administration assistant in place, because that will be part of her job to do, and we won't temporarily load up, the over-pushed and overstretched air of staff at the moment.
hmm.
Is that not right, Leslie?
Well, yes, it is. But I would say that we do want to encourage members of the public to report.
We do,
We most definitely
we do.
But I say
But
I had
maybe we
thought
should
we
ask
had
them
agreed
to do
that
it. Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
On file, I just raise the problem, the issue of litter on the roads coming into Southwell. The quantity of litter there, and I haven't noticed that Via has been sent out anybody to pick litter for some considerable time. I've noticed that people, and I'd like to put a note of thanks to local people that have been out litter picking and cleared our road. But I'd also like us to inquire from Via when we can expect to see the next litter pick of the main link or arteries between the villages in this area, linking Southall and the other areas.
Yeah. Which road are you talking about when you say the road into Southwell?
Well, I mean, so, there is all the arteries which are coming, the Nottingham Road, the one from Oxford, The one Hayden Hill, I drove down Hayden Hill today, and it's quite bad. On the side, it's dangerous to visit people, you know, a volunteer. Or if you go round, there's a gentleman who clears regularly the one coming in from Bockerton. But Lear is not doing this. If you're out and about around this area, those country lanes are badly littered, coming up to grass cutting time, in which case not only will the litter be worse, because it will be shredded.
It's small bits and shredded down.
That's it.
It is true that it is Newton Sherwood's responsibility.
No,
However, I think during the pandemic, they've probably not been doing that.
no. it's
All
not
I do know
really
that
true.
they've been doing is sending the road sweep around, which of course doesn't pick up what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's not Newark and Sherwood, it's not County Council. Newark and Sherwood will pick up fly tipping, but it's on the roads, it's down to Notts County Council.
Okay.
But it's, you know, we don't see that, and I don't see, it'd be quite interesting again to see their policy on what they're doing in terms of litter picking.
Well, about once a month, they send around one of these road sweepers,
Yeah, yeah.
and that is Newton Sherwood, but maybe they've been asked to do it by Notts County Council, I don't know. But it's a Newton Sherwood vehicle.
But I did check with Notts,
Yeah.
Newark and Sherwood, and they definitely said that it was Notts. I did try to phone Notts, but the lady on the end of the phone, Notts, was asking me who owns the roads, who owns the verges, and when I was said, well, I'm assuming it's Notts County Council. Well, you know it's not County. I said, well, I'm ringing you up. And at that point, she said, please put the phone down for me. Because it was quite,
Hey, that's.
well, you know, it's one of these where I felt quite incensed, you know.
Yeah.
How am I, as a member of the public,
Yeah.
supposed to know who owns the road?
Absolutely. How rude.
You take her away.
But, you know, it's one of these things which I think we need to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a council.
Do you know, it's worse everywhere though. Whenever
Yes,
you
it
know,
is. It's
wherever
terrible.
you drive these days, people just chucking things up there.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what's going on.
We've been down the A1. The A1
Oh,
is
It's a trip, isn't it?
I think it's because people have been concentrating on perhaps more serious issues during the pandemic. Let's hope that it will get back to it. The only way is for us to remind them that it's their responsibility to get on with it.
Okay.
I'm going to propose that we pass this now. We have another, Paul, and we have another meeting in 2 weeks' time. And I suggest where I hope there will be fewer planning applications to deal with. So I think we can spend more time on the highways report then, and really, you know, there will be more people present, and maybe we'll get a more sensible and more fruitful. Don't look all
What you're
upset.
implying.
It's deep. I'm merely saying there will be, with more people here, we will get more comments. I didn't use the word better.
That's
I withdrew it at the last minute. Yeah, one point I would make, Paul, is that Heather Sutton is no longer there. Did you know that?
I wasn't aware of that, David, no.
No, she's been promoted to somewhere else. The trouble is, when you get good people, they get promoted out. But she has got a replacement who no one has met yet, I don't think. And I've forgotten her name. Does anybody know her name offhand?
No.
No. But there is a replacement being nominated. Whether she's on seat yet or not, I don't know.
Right. Yes, I mean, that's interesting, David. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Although, you know, it's a question of the post really, and
Yes.
the responsibility that falls under the post rather than personality. But yeah,
Well, that's true. But if you send it to Heather Sutton, it
oh
would
yeah, absolutely.
make
Yeah.
it sent to
We're
her rather
obviously
than
need
she
to
is
say
now.
that we're just anxious to get word to that sort of level, so that hopefully we can get resources better allocated to Southwell.
Okay, so
Can
Karen.
Can I ask you things about that highways thing? I'm not sure if it's related to the.
Yes,
gentleman.
absolutely. I mean,
It's not related to the report as such, but one is a review of the paving slabs on Queen Street and King Street and the state of them. Is it worth me logging them, taking pictures of them and sending them to somebody and getting, is there any chance they get replaced?
If they're dangerous, yes, they'll get the same response as a pothole, which if it's beyond the limit, they'll spray it yellow. If it's sprayed yellow, there is a time limit. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's about 10 days, by which they've got to have it repaired.
Okay, is it worth me spending the time taking pictures of them and putting them in a document and getting them sent off to somewhere? Because I don't want to.
I really can't answer that question, Karen, because I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is that they will only repair things which are dangerous. And they are dangerous when they, somebody will come around, look at it, assess it. If it's dangerous, they'll spray it yellow.
Okay. As a town council, if we requested somebody to come and look at them thinking they were dangerous, and they do the whole lot in one go, rather than come out to Southwood to see one individual pavement.
I think you're dreaming about coming out and doing all in one go. You're quite right, it's the way it should happen, but I just don't think it will at the moment, because they're so far behind on roadwork repairs that they will, they'll stick to their policy of spraying yellow and doing it within 10 days or 2 weeks, or whatever it is.
So it's
once it's sprayed yellow, they have to do it, because if anybody has an accident caused by that, it's a cost to the council.
So rather than bringing it here, I should just personally do it and log it on Fix My Street, yeah?
Well, that will do it, yes.
Okay, I'll do that then.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, I had a chance to get the meeting notes from the tourism partnership. And they said in there that there was a discussion or something had presented about the footpath down from Brackenhurst. And somebody was taking that on, but there was no further information on that.
No, it's all come to a grinding halt. One of the big problems is that it's obviously mainly for students going to the leisure centre.
Which is a good thing.
Pardon?
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
But they wanted lights on it. And the lights are going to cost something like £150,000 or something stupid. So that's the last meeting I went to.
When did you hear that then?
Pardon?
When did you hear that?
Well, I was on a committee that was discussing it.
I just wondered because I think then, Ola was there, I think their meeting was the 21st of April.
This year?
Yeah.
Whose meeting?
It was led tourism partnership.
Ah, no, but the footpath for Brackenhurst is being organised by Brackenhurst itself.
Yeah, I know, but somebody came from Bragg and
Oh, right.
presented at the tourism partnership.
Who was
saying,
that, Chris Roy?
I bet Honors there, kicking herself stage. I could tell you everything. It was just a one-liner. There was no, but it said that the project was up and running again, as was my understanding.
I think yes. Well, I need to talk to Chris Roy because the guy who used to it was Tim Mee, of course, left.
Yeah.
Chris Roy is the guy. I'll give him a ring and see what's happening.
That would be great. I would love to hear an update on that.
Yeah. Okay. Lynn.
Yeah, I don't know if it just adds to information, but they stopped doing it when they had all the problems up there with the building, because there was all the financial implications as to who was going to pay for that. So they were ready to look at that footpath, but they just stopped.
Yeah. Oh yes, people are very keen. They had a plan and the thing, but the big problem was lighting, and who was going to pay for the lighting? They were asking us to put some money into it, but I mean, it's not that sort of sums.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm also interested to see if it would be a cycle path and how they're going to handle that. I think it's interesting for us to know what the plans are. And
the plan basically is for a footpath to be built, and it's a footpath, not a cycle path. Basically, down from Brackenhurst, inside their field.
Oh, inside their field.
Yeah. Till the point where it's very close and opposite the gate into the rugby pitch. They'll create a crossing there. Then it'll go down through the edge of the inside the hedge of the rugby pitch, going to the leisure centre. So, you know, they had done studies on it, it was quite well advanced. The problem came down who's going to pay for it and so on.
Well, I would love if you could give us a report for next week, next month, or next issue.
I'll find out what's going on, yes.
That would be great, thank you so much.
Okay, anything else?
I think Paul might like to speak about the slabs in King Street and Queen Street.
Yes, Paul, go ahead.
Sorry, you got me down as speaking about what?
Sorry, Paul, I just saw your hand going up, so
Oh, yes.
just talk about whatever you wanted to ask.
Right, okay. Sorry, I thought it was about a particular topic. No, if I can perhaps just help out with some of the things that have gone through. In relation to litter, Steve's right, that will be the responsibility of the local highway authority, and the local highway authority for all roads roundabout is Notts County Council. They will obviously defer to their agent, Beer, to do the work. And you're right, David, they might actually work with Newark and Sherwood District Council over actually getting the job done. But the responsibility is Notts County Council, / Beer. And they will have a current maintenance schedule as they have for grass cutting and such like, drainage channel clearances. And so there should be a regular cleaning of away of litter. Lynn's right as well, that probably restrictions on budget will have them say that they can't do it as regularly as they would like to and that sort of thing. But anyway, they're the fundamental points on that. For Karen, with the flagstones, the reporting system, the other highways matters reporting system allows for the inclusion of some photographs, not big ones because the file is soon absorbed. The file capacity is soon absorbed, but you can add photographs. And so that's the case with potholes and it's the case with other highway matters. And then the last thing I'd say is that as well as the business that we've put forward to the report for this month, next month, we'd already got in production because we feel that the council should be starting to consider it, ideas for the Southwell Traffic Management Plan for 22-23. Now, I know that seems a long way away, but to hit Notts County Council and Via's rolling 12-month programme and to get a chance of us getting some resources allocated to Southwell, they need to have our ideas by September. So the proposal would be through the report in June for a first cut of ideas as to what we might want doing in Southwell, so that after that, myself and Tom can start to put together a report, get it cleared again with yourselves and get it off by the end of August.
My thoughts were that we would discuss highways and the traffic improvement plan and so on in more depth next thing, because it's on the 2nd of June, it's only 2 weeks away.
Yes.
So we can use the report that you produced for this meeting as a basis of what we want to talk about next meeting.
Yes, indeed. It was just that myself and Tom were aiming to remind you about what's been done in the town. Don't take that the wrong way, but you know what's been done as far as previous submissions through Southwell Traffic Management Plans is concerned, and there've been 2 previously. What's been achieved, and therefore what's left, as it were, what we still ought to be pursuing, and a number of those things are actually the subject of the note that went to Sean Brown 15th of April. They're the schemes, they're the ideas that we're still pursuing from the last Southwell Traffic Management Plan that went forward. And if they're not dealt with, we could think about including those in the plan that goes forward, the proposals that go forward for the 22-23 plan.
Right. Okay.
So the bottom line is there will be a supplement to the report that you've got. Dealing with Southwell Traffic Management Plan also at the June meeting.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And we'll get that to the chair for vetting before it's circulated to councillors, still in time, still 6 days before the June meeting.
I would find it useful if you and I could, you two and I could meet once you've got that ready to produce, then I can have a clearer idea in my own mind of what the situation is.
Right. Well, it's pretty well together now, and certainly within the next week, it will be available to run through with you. But we can run through the skeleton of it now.
Well, okay, maybe we could have contact me next week sometime, so that we could actually meet up and discuss it in more detail for presentation at the 2nd of June meeting.
Yes.
By all means, yes, that could be start of next week, David, and I think I can think of a suitable venue.
Well, here at the courthouse.
No, Lynn's closer. But anyway, the point is, we'll be in touch when we've got it in decent form and to run through with you.
Okay, good.
Right.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul and Tom.
Can you hold on a minute?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here at that meeting because it's school holidays and we're on holiday, so apologies for that. But I take it that the Hallerton Road and the Holy Trinity Crossing is still going to make the cut.
I wouldn't want to presume on behalf of members, but they are items that are still outstanding in the Sean Brown correspondence. And I don't know whether Clark has heard anything from Sean Brown in relation to that email that went off on the 15th of April.
Well, I've met with Sean, but the decision on those, the most recently submitted road traffic management plan hasn't been made yet. It's supposed to be the end of May. So I'm hoping we might hear by the next meeting in June.
Oh, yeah. It's the 2nd of June. Hold your hand up for that.
Anyway, great. I mean, obviously, I
think the answer, Karen, is that if those things remain unresolved by the time the Southwell traffic management proposals for 22-23 go forward, i.e. by the end of August, then they stand a chance of being in that package, because they're items that we still see as, or the council see as still necessary and that aren't done.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks, Paul and Tom. It's really good work. Moving on to the next item is the Neighbourhood Working Party, a verbal report. That's from Peter, right? Okay, we have that. Did you circulate this?
No, you just read it out.
Okay, this is a note from Peter, probably rather in haste because he had to apologise for not being here today. Zoom working group meeting on 11th of May with Matthew Tubb from the District Council was present. Some debate about the likely impact of the new planning system. I assume that's the one that we've been talking about. But in the end, we simply don't know what it'll be. No, he's talking about he's planning the planning system being put in by separate government, not the one from New Sherwood. A lot of time spent talking about the allocation of open green spaces. Matthew Tubb said he would look at our proposals and comment. There was also discussion about doing a simplistic vegetation survey to cover hedgerows we might wish to highlight as important, other than those already identified in the neighbourhood plan. And the main outstanding work remains as flood matters, compiling the additional evidence base and listing consultees. Next meeting is to be on the 8th of June, and they should continue with Zoom rather than meeting in person. That brings to mind two things, or at least one anyway. The flood matters, the Harvest Field is making progress. It's almost ready to be sorted out, and we will get an application in. I doubt if it'll be in June, but it might be completed in June for discussion at the July meeting. Okay. That's as far as I know. But it's pretty much as we saw in the presentation. There are one or two minor changes Is there anything else to say about that? No, I think that's about it. It's only when they put the final thing to VIA, to Notts County Council, we'll know absolutely what it entails, what it doesn't entail. But it's pretty much the same as we've seen it in except for some of the minor details. Anybody got any other queries about this? No? Okay, fine. I'm told in my discussions with Robert Jenrick the other day on Saturday morning that the planning system is not going to be as bad as we all thought. The idea would be Newark and Sherwood will allocate land for building on, and we will be hopefully involved in the discussions about what land is going to be allocated and what land isn't. Once it's allocated and there are design being sorted out, there will not be any further planning applications or meetings or anything. So if the land is allocated and somebody wants to build on it, it's automatic almost that they can they can build on it. Because once you allocate the land, that is assuming that assumes that we've given a permission for that.
We've got a couple of bits of land that still haven't been built on that were allocated in our last neighbourhood plan, aren't there? The Kirkmanshire Road, the Vine.
Yes, yeah.
So with this, is it likely that they will remain and then we'll have some more?
That I can't answer. I don't know. It would make sense. But the last time we spoke to Newark and Sherwood about it, they were not saying that they would want any more land from us, because they've reached their allocation with regards to Southwell in terms of the housing numbers. So going forward, I don't know how that stacks up, and I don't know how the ones that were there. No, I mean, I really had a quite strong moan to Robert about the Springfield bungalow. He said, well, that should never happen again, because it obviously was never land it should have been, and you will get your say in the allocation process. So we didn't then. Well, we did get a say. We said it should never be done. It was ignored for a variety of reasons, which I don't go into here. Right. I think that's just about it. Then the date of the next meeting is 2nd of June, which I said is 2 weeks away. Has anybody got anything they want to discuss at that next meeting? Clearly, the highways and traffic things will be part of it.
Yeah, it would be useful just to have maybe a further discussion like we have tonight, just about some of these comments that we feel we should always make as a sort of, if you like, a strategic work towards our environmental policy and plan. The neighbourhood plan notwithstanding, obviously Peter Scorer it will be the best person to kind of feed advice into that. But we should have a little checklist, I think, of things. Not because it's a legal requirement, or we should have to take it on board, but just so that we're seen to be constantly making the same comments, so that they become aware, to get this consistency that's been raised earlier. Because I think we want to sing off. We're all singing off the same hymn sheet here, but we're not quite sure what's on the hymn sheet. So strange metaphor, but do you know what I mean? It's kind of, I think we want to do this, but we just need to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. But as far as I'm concerned, I thought that's what the last neighbourhood plan had in it, a sort of design study which recommended things and recommended things which shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, but we've got an environmental policy plan now.
But that's what's been
changed.
Yes.
And the need to actually step that up is much greater.
Yeah, until we get that new neighbourhood plan approved and everything else, we'll have to continue in the same way. We'll have a checklist for sure.
Yeah, that's it. I know that we haven't got the teeth that the neighbourhood plan will give us on us yet, but I think it's just so that we have a consistent.
Well, it's rather like, every planning application I see, I look at it from a flood point of view.
Yeah, that's
Well, you look at it from other points of view,
well,
that's
that's
great.
right, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I declare the meeting closed in that case.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Good night.
See you on the 2nd, and I'll see you before anyway.
Yes, we'll be in touch, David. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.